I'm the Honest Coach. I coach women on connecting with their softness in order to gain control over their life circumstances and relationships with men. I have an interesting topic to summarize and discuss today, so I think you're going to want to stick around for this. As I've mentioned in the past, my content is not for everyone. It's for a very specific type of girl that is going through an issue with an unavailable man that comes and goes, and every time he pulls away, she panics. And when he comes back, she feels calm and together. And so her interest is on trying to make things work with someone who is allergic to closeness. You're always going to be attracted to men that are allergic to closeness when you have this type of wound. So, as I've mentioned in previous videos, what I believe is a best strategy to heal this is to connect with yourself and to grieve the loss of the other person. And that way you're in reality, because actually it's a grief complex that you have that you developed in childhood relationships with caregivers or authority figures, where you really had to abandon parts of yourself in order to survive. And so what has happened is, you're going to connect with yourself in order to heal this, but the math of it is you connect to yourself through him. You don't connect to yourself through you. And that's because you've been conditioned to abandon yourself. And so you put parts of yourself in other people and you connect to yourself through them. A great example is you had a caregiver where your feelings were always invalidated. You had to figure out if you had permission to feel the way that you felt. You had to go to your caregiver and say, am I allowed to feel this way? Or, I need to do this. Am I allowed to do this? I want to do this. Am I allowed to do this? And in a lot of cases, you were not allowed. And that is why you split off from all these parts of yourself. You had to abandon yourself in order to survive that childhood. So now, as a result, you're outwardly focused and you don't connect to yourself. However, you have all this time, energy, and effort for all these other people around you. You take care of everyone around you. You're a people pleaser. You work harder than anyone else at your work. You don't get paid the way you should get paid. You're taken advantage of right and left. You've been betrayed, abandoned, annihilated by the people that say they love you the most. And this has happened over and over and over. And it's because you never stood up for yourself, connected to yourself. So, right now he's pulling away. And then you're panicking because he's pulling away. Why? Because he is the connector to yourself. So when he leaves, you've lost that connection to yourself because you don't connect to her. So you always abandon her. He's the only one that she has. So this is why I say we never take anything away from the nice girl. This is your nice girl complex, right? She splits off from herself and then she chases after other people for their approval and their affection, and then she feels whole because she has his love and whatever it is she wants to feel. But you never connect with her, and so she can only connect to herself through him. So when he's not around, she can't connect to herself. So the last thing we do is take him away. So I don't care what coach out there says that's delusional. That's the math of your mind. And I'm not here to sell you on right or wrong or moral or immoral. I'm here to sell you on what works and what doesn't work. And this is what works. You connect to yourself. You connect to yourself by holding on to the things that you love and admire. You don't take those away from her. She loves and admires him. Great. We're going to lean into that. Oh, hang on one second. So instead, we lean into those aspects. Well, what is it that you like about him? What is it that you admire about him? What is it that he does that makes you feel the way you like to feel? And you start listing those things out. You say to her, those are great things. However, we're going to teach her boundaries. You never learned boundaries. You don't have boundaries. And boundaries help heal your whole life. Okay? And so what are the boundaries? He's not treating us the way we like to be treated. You can even use really simple words that you would use for a very young person. You say, well, he's not being very nice to you. He's being mean. He's not being nice. So if he's not being nice, you're not going to hang out with him. As much as you love him, you're not going to hang out with him because he's not being nice to you. However, you can love him as much as you want. And so what we do is, the math of it is, instead of changing who we are, you are softness. But if you split off from all these parts of yourself and you make yourself who you have to be in order to have someone like that, it's outside of you. You have the fire, he pulls away, you have the firework, your attention goes into all these aspects where you're panicking and you're worrying, you got to figure it out. But if he was to come back tomorrow, all of that would be resolved. Why? Because those things are really not real. Those are all the places you've been abandoned since you were a child, and they're just resurfacing. So you can resolve all those things, it's not going to connect you to yourself. And if he was to come back tomorrow, everything would be resolved. Why? Because he connects you to yourself, and that is what heals everything, is connection to yourself. So what good is it for you to find a coach on here who says, you got to be a black cat, and you got to turn him into a golden retriever, and you got to be cold and silent and distant and this and that? It's all from outside of you. You're not connecting to yourself. Then you have him, but you only have him because you're using all these tools from outside of yourself. It makes no sense. It's the wrong way. You're still doing things from outside of you to connect to yourself. You got to start connecting to yourself. How do you want to feel? That's your priority. If somebody is not making you feel the way that you want to feel, you don't participate with them. That's a boundary. And you start moving in that direction. So if you wear masks and you break off pieces of yourself and you bend into shapes just to get somebody, it's not connecting you to yourself. It's the opposite. It's the opposite. You're connecting to other people. You're performing. You've performed your whole life. I say that all the time. In your personal relationships, you have been working your entire life. Work is about doing. You go into work and you do stuff. It's not about who you are. You go into work and you do tasks. That's how you've been in your relationships. So instead, we want to connect to ourselves to heal that. And you connect to yourself by, first of all, not taking him away from her. Because he connects her to herself. You've never connected her. You abandon her every chance you get. You had to do it to survive. It's not your fault. But let's work with that. Let's stay connected to him, but he's being mean right now. So it's okay for him to be upset, but he's being disrespectful, or he's being distant, or he's not making me feel the way that I want to feel. You can love him all you want, but he's not making you feel the way you want to feel. You're not in a relationship with him. It's just that simple. So I follow a lot of coaches. I've followed a lot of coaches, and that's why I feel like my perspective is very different from everyone out there. And it's for a very specific individual who's going through a very specific dynamic. But if you see these coaches and they're telling you, you got to be this and you got to be that, you're not healthy like other people. And that there's no shame in that. You've been conditioned differently. You're not like other people. That stuff might work for other people. It doesn't work for you. You have to connect to yourself. And you have to connect to yourself through what connects you to yourself. You're very good at connecting with other people. Use that. Connect with other people to feel connected to yourself, and just start turning your attention towards that. There's coaches on here that are healing people from trauma and healing people from narcissistic abuse and healing people from all these things, and you're going to get sucked into what they say because what they say is very satisfying. But if you have a coach and they're angry and they're telling you you're going to get gaslit and you got to go no contact and you got to do this and you got to armor yourself up, they're not healed from my experience. Because what really heals you is when you recognize why he's doing what he's doing, why it affects you the way it affects you, and once you have boundaries, those things can't bother you anymore. The problem was you never got to have boundaries. You were conditioned to put your focus outside of yourself. You were never conditioned to connect to yourself. In 10 minutes, I can't even finish what I'm saying, but I think you understand what I'm saying. The job is to connect to yourself. So don't take anything away from you that you love. You just set boundaries. If it's not making you feel the way you want to feel, no thank you, but you can still love it. The more you connect to yourself, the more you will heal. That's all I want to say. Blessed